This is our theme song. Okay, hello and welcome. So this is the new format of the show. We're going to be watching movies each week, and then just having a kind of a breakdown. So I want Ronan. I want you to kind of introduce our movie and your thoughts, and let's just we'll keep it loosey goosey, keep it fresh. What were your thoughts this week? What was this movie this week? And talk to me about it.
Today was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and I actually really liked it. It was very well written. Towards the end, it reminded me of another movie, which shall I bring up now or?
Sure.
Okay. So the movie it reminded me of was True Memoirs of an International Assassin. Because during
that's the Sam Rockwell? No.
That's with I have it right here. I forgot his name.
Anyway, we're not gonna watch that. No, that's not the one I thought it was. I was thinking
With
Confessions
Kevin
of a
James.
Dangerous Mind.
With Kevin James.
Anyway, so let's talk about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what'd you think? Tyler, what did you think?
I thought it was a really good movie, just like Ronan said. Probably my favorite part about it was like they took a movie trope, like a movie trope that you'd expect,
Yeah.
and like flip it on its head, but they still include it.
Right.
So.
Right. One of my favorite things in cognitive communications that I play with a lot is that, and I have to explain to a lot of clients and things like that, is that I can tell you I'm about to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And me telling you I'm about to do it in no way makes me doing it less effective. Like with a magic trick, if I tell you, like even with a magic trick, then you're like, guys, just so you know, I have this quarter in my hand, and I'm going to pretend to put it in this hand. I'm going to do this whole thing. See, watch, and if I do it well enough, you still will fall for it. Even though you know what I'm doing, misdirection still works.
Yeah.
And I love this movie because it plays on that. It takes a trope that we've all seen. It then beats the shit out of that trope, makes it funny, turns it on its head, flips it around, but it still works as a trope.
Yeah.
Even though, it's such a... it is one of my favorite film noirs. It was, for those of you who don't know, it came out in 2005.
2005.
It was Robert Downey Jr.'s first movie out of prison after doing 3 years for heroin. And... this was also Shane Black's directorial debut. If you're unfamiliar with Shane Black, he's like badass, creator of Lethal Weapon and many others. He took kind of a break from writing, and this was his directorial debut. Amazing cast of Michelle Monaghan, Shannon Sossamon, Robert Downey Jr., Val Kilmer, and others whose names I have just forgotten. But talk to me a little bit more, Tyler. Tyler, what was is this? Have you watched any film noir before?
No, I actually haven't. So, this is kind of like a new movie genre to me, and I'm a fan of it. Honestly,
Okay.
I'm a fan of it so far.
How about this would be more of a neo noir than a true noir. But how about you, Ronan? What are you thinking about? In general.
This is actually my first one, I think, of a noir, but it kind of I really like it because I really like movies that make me think and kind of like thrillers, and it almost reminded me of a thriller.
Yeah, this definitely has. Noir is almost always defined by high contrast ratio. The pinnacle is high contrast ratio. You can't have a noir if it's not high contrast ratio, which is to say deep shadows, high brights, which this absolutely did have.
Yes, it did.
But noir is from a more genre, less technical, almost always has a twist, has some kind of betrayal or misdirection, and this had all of those things. There was absolute twists. There was absolute betrayals. There was like the whole scene with his thumb.
You're talking about the one getting the dog getting it, or
just in general? I mean,
at the door.
His thumb gets chopped off, then gets sewn on, then gets chopped off, then gets eaten by a dog. I don't know many movies that can say that.
No.
No.
I definitely think that this movie would be hard to enjoy if you're not like thinking as it's going on. Like you're not thinking about like what could happen next, stuff like that. Like you're not thinking about the storyline.
Right. So I'm not trying to take it on to like I was talking to a friend recently about Christopher Nolan films, and this is not a Christopher Nolan film, and I'm not going down that rabbit hole. But the problem, air quotes, people, the problem with Christopher Nolan films is that you can't be on your phone while watching a Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah.
If you are not watching a Christopher Nolan film, you're going to miss something.
Yeah.
They are so heavily visual. And whereas this film isn't particularly heavily visual, it's heavily attention-based. Like, if you aren't paying attention...
Yeah.
Not necessarily visually, but if you're on Amazon wish list, like, oh yeah, that's cute. Oh,
You will not know where you are.
The movie changes directions too often, and I don't
It's
even
not
say
a bad thing.
Not a bad thing, but it's so all over the place, ups and downs, backwards and forwards, that it changes too often. That if you're like also updating your Amazon cart, you'll be like, wait a minute, what just happened? And that's going to happen every single time. So this is one of those movies. I am the king of watching a movie while doing something else. I'll be crafting or working on a script or Photoshop or something.
Yeah.
The movies that we're going to be watching for the next month are not movies that you can multitask with. They take too much. All noirs. Like I said, the pinnacle is the visual style, but a very, very close second is they're twisty, turny, not straight lines at all. So, twist ending. Ronan, what did you think? I mean, again, if you're watching this episode on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, there's lots of spoilers, so don't say we didn't warn you. The twist ending, the kind of how did it play out, and what did you think?
Oh, kind of like when when they're in the hospital and he survived. I really liked it, and I like what Tyler was talking about, the movie trope, how like they were just bringing everyone in and then like trying to push them back out, and you saw a glimpse of Abraham Lincoln
to the trope and then exaggerated it. Like, oh, here's Elvis.
Yeah, and
so
I think one of my absolute favorite parts of this movie is that everyone has a dad or an uncle or a brother who loves to tell stories but tells them terribly.
Oh yeah,
I'm that guy.
Are you that guy?
Yes, I am that guy.
It's like, I was about to say, I like your self-awareness because a lot of people are like, no, I don't have a friend that tells stories terribly. I have bad news for you then.
Yeah.
It's you. It's you that tells the stories badly. But I will straight up say, no cap, that everyone has that friend. Everyone has that friend or that brother or that uncle. And this is the only movie ever that I've ever seen that actually plays on it. Where he's like, shit, did I forget to tell you? Man, I'm narrating this badly, but I don't see any other narrators.
Yeah.
And he's like, let me go back and it's non-linear, it's all over. It is a story told badly on purpose, and for some reason, that makes it good.
And for some reason, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, the non sequiturs, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, did I forget to mention the horse was blue? And you're like, hey, screw the man, you're ruining the story. But had I known the horse was blue a minute ago, this joke wouldn't have been funny. Like,
yeah.
There's a few moments in this film where the writing is so beautifully nonsensical. And that is a thing that is remarkably hard to do. If you go to film school, which you two may or may not do, and I did, if you go to film school, there's a lot to be said for, like, never have a scene that isn't progressing your story. Never have a scene that, if it isn't moving the story along, cut it. It's wasted time. It wastes the... And one of the very first directors to kind of screw with that, and again, my true film purists are going to be like, oh my gosh. But no. One of the first directors to truly screw with that was Quentin Tarantino, where in his film Pulp Fiction, there's like a 5-minute conversation about the quality of coffee. And you're like, that has nothing to do with anything, but it still works. And then he has... Quentin Tarantino was one of the very first people to really put in these long, drawn-out, exaggerated, good-for-nothing scenes that make the final cut, and somehow, while being about nothing, they still manage to drive that story forward, if that, makes sense. This film does some kind of interesting things where there are moments of writing brilliance that have nothing to do with anything, One of them that I pointed out to you guys when we were watching it is at the very, very beginning. He goes, "Hey, you should call him. I've got $5. Says you could get a shot there." He's like, "Oh, that's interesting. I have $10. It says something else. I have 2 quarters that say this other thing." He's like, "What? Talking money? Talking monkey? Yes, a talking monkey. He's from the future. Only says ficus." And this interchange is nonsensical. It distracts from the flow of the scene. It's weird, and in so much is perfect.
Yep.
And this movie is full of those moments that you're just like, I don't know what just happened, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Scene that stood out for you, Tyler?
It's an interesting question, because this whole movie stood out to me because it's so different from what I usually watch.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
for the record, that's why we're doing a month of film noir. It's like over the last 2 months, we've all been talking about the movies, and I am genuinely not insulting your film choices at this exact moment. I'm not saying that I don't in general. I'm just saying at the moment I'm not insulting them.
yeah.
But there's definitely a one-notedness to you guys' film appreciation, and I wanted to broaden that to.
Yeah, I've definitely wanted to broaden that recently, so
But
I guess this is now the time to do it. Most memorable scene?
Just a moment that, like, I remember laughing at that. That was a really funny line. Wow, that was an interesting change, even if we've already talked about it.
Oh man, I remember us dying of laughter at one part, but I can't remember what it was now.
Are you talking about the Abraham Lincoln part, or?
What
No,
Abraham Lincoln part?
Oh, that was when Elvis and everyone else who died.
Yeah.
came in at the end. But there was some time before that where we absolutely died of laughter, but I can't put my finger on it.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Roman.
Yeah. I mean, I like to watch a lot of action parts. I like to watch a lot of action movies, and the part that really stood out to me is the when the casket was hanging over the bridge, or when it just fell. And then
Oh my gosh, yeah, that part did stick out to me. How everything went absolutely perfectly for him in that moment. The amount of luck he had on that side during that scene.
Yes.
Again.
With like how the gun just flipped, went into his hand, won the duel, and then fell onto the car.
Oh yeah, no. This Shane Black. If there's one thing that can truly be said about Shane Black is that Shane Black truly understood the mastery of scene construction so much and perfected it through the Lethal Weapons and his other subsequent projects, even the ones that didn't do as well. But he perfected it to a point that when he finally decided that he was going to take that same story construction ability and bring it to directing, he did it in this. And what's so sad to me is that this film didn't do so much better. Could you look it up real quick on IMDb? Like, give me or Rotten Tomatoes. How did it do? Because we probably should have looked that up earlier. What is that?
What? Why is it doing that?
Why have you broken my computer? Yeah, when he has a very. I mean, think about have you guys seen the Lethal Weapon films?
I do think I have.
Okay, so it didn't make tons of money.
So it got 15.8 million USD for the box office, 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 86%.
How much? Sorry. What out of what? 86 on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.5. So I mean that's a C+ film. I think that is a travesty. This is the last time I saw Val Kilmer, and Val Kilmer struggles a lot with some mental health issues, so I'm not bashing by any means, but like he has been very much out of the limelight for the last 15 years, save a few here's and there. This is the last time I really saw Val Kilmer. This was the first time we'd seen Robert Downey Jr. This was really the last thing Robert Downey Jr. did before he became Iron Man for the rest of all eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, and again, you guys were born in late 90s, early 2000s, right? No, just early 2000s.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, like, I was born in the early 80s. I grew up knowing who Robert Downey Jr. was. Robert Downey Jr. was in my favorite film as a kid. I loved Robert Downey Jr. And Robert Downey Jr. being Iron Man is an asterisk. It's a footnote. It's a new chapter. But for you guys, like, it's the only chapter. Like, he's been Iron Man your whole cognitive, like, aware lives. Right? Like,
yeah.
And good for him, but like I really miss old Robert Downey Jr. when he was acting. Not that Iron Man isn't a remarkably cool and deep character, but like Robert Downey Jr. in Chaplin in 1992 is like, oh my gosh, perfect. That's another conversation for another day. Or Sherlock Holmes, the Guy Ritchie film. It was so good.
Oh yeah.
But now he kind of will be Iron Man forever.
Yeah.
I wish this movie was better recognized, but it just isn't, and I don't know why.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because you guys, like I said, this movie's your whole life ago, but it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
So
I think it should have done a lot better in box office,
It should
actually.
have made a lot more money, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it had all the right pieces. Shane Black is a star. Robert Downey Jr. was a star. Val Kilmer was a star. And I mean, I don't know quite why it didn't hit, but boy, do I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely underrated.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely underrated.
Most definitely.
So, Rona, you were
Criminally
gonna say,
underrated.
How does it compare to the stories of an international
Oh,
something? something?
True Memoirs of an International Assassin?
Sure, that one.
So, I remember you asking me in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang what other movies that I could think of where they're like narrating the story.
Sure.
In True Memoirs of an International Assassin, Kevin James is writing a book. Everyone thinks it's nonfiction, but he just made it up. And so he's writing the book as it goes. You see it like,
Interesting.
in action, and then like the book actually becomes a reality afterwards.
Interesting.
So like at the
Okay.
very end, when Robert Downey Jr. was talking about the epilogue and saying goodbye to all the fans and the people who watched it, it reminded me of this movie.
I'll have to check that out because I mean I do like Kevin James. It only got a 5.9, so that's
Yeah.
not.
One thing that kind of threw me off with this movie, I guess I just maybe missed a part, but at the end, like after the funeral or whatever, when he went into that old guy's bedroom and he backhanded him twice. I don't know.
Did you miss what that was about?
Yeah, I think I did.
And now for your viewing pleasure. So, what you kind of missed. So this one, it was absolutely in the movie, but they didn't. I'm surprised you missed it because they made a fairly big deal about it, but it was put together. That was the sister died
Yeah.
because she went to L.A. trying to escape her rapist stepfather.
Was that the rapist?
That was the
stepfather?
rapist stepfather.
Okay.
Yep.
So he was now old and on dialysis or oxygen or whatever. And so basically we had wrapped up all the things. We found out why she died. We found out who killed her. We found out what was going on. We had wrapped it all up. But the thing is that and they kind of point to this again. They say, and now for your viewing pleasure, she was dead before, he said, she was dead before she got on that bus. Yes, this other guy killed her. And yes, this other thing happened to her. And yes, you didn't have any... But she was dead because of you a long time ago. And a lot of times in movies and in books and in real life, we focus so much on the... This thing pulled the trigger. This person pulled the trigger. Yes.
Instead of like the backstory.
But no, not just the backstory. Very, very few events happen from a single point. There's tons of things that get... So this film, I really appreciated how it tied up who killed her. It tied up why she was killed. It tied up why they tried to cover it up. It tied up all of the event. But then at the very end... Is one of you kicking?
No.
What is that? Sorry, audience. There's like a knocking. I've seen this horror movie. This one's bad for Tyler. You're the ginger man. He always dies first.
Yep.
Oh man.
Farewell.
Anyway.
Anyways, that's good.
So,
I hate you both.
hey man, it's just the truth. So we have it ties up the how she got killed. It ties up why she got killed. It tied up who did it, why they did it. It tied up all of the event. But then at the very end, it said, right, but none of that would have happened if she wasn't there. And if and the reason she was there is that you are a piece of shit. And it went back and it took the fact that she had been molested and beaten by her stepfather.
Okay.
And so so Shane Black and Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer made the very end of this movie, instead of being about the, aha, we solved the case, It was you're a human piece of trash, and all of this happened because of you. And that still might be, you know, there still might be more that we could unpack there, but that's what that scene was. And that's why it starts with, and now for your viewing pleasure. It was beating up on a child molester. Which certainly has its
That definitely makes a lot more sense to me now.
Other than just beating up an old guy in a hospital bed.
I was confused.
This is really weird. Why did they end the movie with beating up a dude in a hospital bed? That wasn't even in the rest of the movie.
I think it's also because I couldn't necessarily hear the TV clearly. But
Really?
yeah, at some points I couldn't hear it clearly, but...
I'm sorry. It's like someone was like drilling behind you or something. That's true. Anyway.
Who'd have known?
Final thoughts. Like I don't think we need to belabor it much, but I mean I definitely next week we're gonna be watching Lucky Number 11. It is similar in era. I think it was 2000 and I think it was also 2005. It's Josh Hartnett and Bruce Willis. It's equally underrated.
2006.
Oh, cool. So close. So Lucky Number 11, 2006. It's Josh Hartnett, Morgan Freeman, I believe, Ben Kingsley.
Pretty good cast.
Stop doing that. What are you doing? Good gosh, man. Are you trying to buy insurance?
No.
Yeah, Josh Hartnett, Bruce Willis, Lucy Liu, Morgan Freeman, Ben Kingsley. I mean, it is a Stanley Tucci. It is a unbelievable cast, and it didn't do great either. 7.7. It made its money. It is remarkably underrated, but much like other film noirs, I don't know why. It's remarkably well written. The cast was top notch.
Yep.
You guys have not seen this?
No, we
I
have
have
not.
not.
Have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
So next Tuesday we'll be watching Lucky Number 11. If you'd like to follow along this week, watch Lucky Number 11, and then we'll be talking about it. It's like a book club, but it's like
It's a virtual book club.
it's a virtual movie club. So yeah, we're gonna be watching Lucky
It's a
Number.
do it at your own pace club.
Yeah, if you only can do 15 minutes a day, you know, you'll still have it done by next week. Lucky Number 11, I will say, as you guys watch it, it's another don't have your phone open, because there's a lot of scenes that are remarkably mundane in the writing, and you could absolutely get what happened just by listening or by washing dishes, but you wouldn't see the unbelievable visual style. Lucky Number 11 is a pinnacle and a hallmark of the production team showing off. Like, where the only other director that does that a lot is like Tim Burton. You're like, oh yeah, this is clearly a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
It looks like a Tim Burton movie. Like that, but a little less caricaturized. Like you'll be watching a scene and you're like, okay, this was the production department. Just they had money and they wanted to show off, and it's brilliant. So this is Lucky Number 7, 2006. Oh my gosh, I just realized what we're doing. So 2005 was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky Number 11 is 2006, and then the next week we are watching Brick, which is 2007. It's like we're doing Kirk's Noir. I did not do that on purpose. I just realized it right now. And for the record, Bittersweet Life, which we're also watching, is 2005. So I've messed that up already. But
Dang.
Come on, Kirk.
I know, right?
You had one job.
That's so not true. I had so many jobs. So yeah, this week was, as we've said, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Check it out, watch it.
Yep.
Comment below, tell us what you think. Lucky Number 11's next week. The week after that is Brick. But we're just going to be doing these. Let us know if there's any movies that you want to check it out, and send us out Tyler.
Oh, I'm doing the outro?
Yeah.
Sure. You
Didn't
gotta
you already
learn
do it?
now sometime.
Didn't you already do it?
No, that was
We don't
that
have
was
all
the
day,
like.
Tyler. We don't have all day.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to like and subscribe to this channel for future videos and movie reviews, go ahead and do that. I'm Tyler. This is Ronan. That's Kirk. And we'll see you guys next week.